Hello, drama lovers. Welcome back to this channel. There are stories no cameras catch. There are tears that fall quietly in the middle of the night, unseen and unheard. And there is one name that suddenly fell into silence amid the noise of the entertainment world. Xiao Zhan. It wasn't good news. It wasn't a drama premiere, nor a music release. That day, fans were shaken by one whisper that spread like wind through hospital corridors. Xiao Zhan had collapsed on set, lost consciousness, and was rushed to the hospital in a fragile condition. There was no official statement, no explanation from the agency, only silence that felt too long. And amid that fearful silence, someone came quietly. Someone who often appears calm on screen, but now looked so fragile walking down the hospital hallway. Wang Yibo. That night, while the city slept, Wang Yibo's footsteps echoed softly on the cold hospital floor. There were no cameras, no paparazzi. He came alone. A black hoodie concealed his face, a mask muted his breath. But his body trembled as he stood before the hospital room door. He stood there for a long time, not entering, just staring at the number on the door, maybe wishing the voice inside would call his name. But nothing came, only the ticking of a clock that now felt painfully slow. He sat down on the hard waiting bench, hands gripping his phone, yet not unlocking it. He simply sat still, head occasionally bowed. And from behind the mask, his eyes were already wet. Day 1. No change. A doctor came out with words that brought no comfort. Xiao Zhan is still unconscious. His body was exhausted, empty. The medical term was acute fatigue, dehydration, and psychological stress. But none of it explained how someone who always looked strong on stage could collapse this deeply. Wang Yibo was finally allowed inside. He walked slowly into the room filled with quiet machines. Xiao Zhan lay motionless, his face pale, breathing shallow. Wang Yibo approached, sitting by his bedside. He didn't say a word, just looked. Seconds passed like hours. His hand reached out to Xiao Zhan's cold fingers, gently holding them. Then he lowered his head. A nurse who entered quietly turned away, because she saw Wang Yibo crying, softly, silently, but heartbreakingly. Outside, the world kept spinning. But in that room, time seemed to pause. Day 2. Still no change. Xiao Zhan showed no signs of waking. But Wang Yibo never left. He stayed. Slept in a stiff hospital chair. Refused to eat much. Refused to rest. He even declined the vitamins offered by a nurse. He whispered, "I can't rest until he wakes up." He stepped outside that night, into the hospital garden. Beneath a dim light, he sat alone. The rain came lightly. And once again, his tears fell quietly, mingling with the cold night air. Day 3. Still silence. Xiao Zhan's expression didn't change. His voice remained unheard. But his vitals slowly began to stabilize. Still, Wang Yibo looked worn out. Swollen eyes. Pale skin. He looked more like a brother than a co-star. More like someone silently praying for time to reverse. A nurse heard him whisper, "If I could, I'd take his place." She could only bow her head. There were no words to answer that. That evening, under flickering hospital lights, Wang Yibo sat once more in the corner of the room, looking up at the ceiling, closing his eyes. A few staff members passed by but didn't disturb him. No one had the heart to. And as dawn quietly pierced through the curtain, a small miracle happened. Xiao Zhan's fingers moved. Slightly. Barely noticeable. But enough to change the rhythm of the monitor. Nurses rushed in. And in that breathless tension, his eyes slowly opened. Xiao Zhan stared at the blank ceiling. It took a few seconds for his eyes to find their way. Then his voice came out, barely a whisper, "Yibo." The nurse could no longer hold back her tears. Moments later, Wang Yibo walked in. He stopped at the doorway, seeing those open eyes. And for a moment, no words were needed. Just a long gaze, full of something too deep to describe. Their tears fell at the same time. No dramatic sobbing. No loud cries. But the world knew they had found each other again. That day, the entertainment world trembled again. Not because of scandal. Not because of rumors. But because of a love so honest, it couldn't be hidden. Fans wept along. Not just because Xiao Zhan had been ill, but because they witnessed a bond that words couldn't define. A love that remained in silence, but roared in presence. Fan art flooded the internet. Tweets filled with prayers and letters. Someone wrote, "Yibo stayed when no one knew what to do." Another replied, "Sometimes, love doesn't need a stage. Just a hospital chair and someone who never left." Now, Xiao Zhan is in recovery, still unable to say much. But he knows, he's not alone. And Wang Yibo returned to his quiet self. Private, reserved, but always there when it matters most. They didn't release a statement. They didn't say anything to the media. But fans knew. This story will linger in their hearts for a very long time. Because it's not drama, not a film, not a performance, that made us believe in this connection. It was the tears, the silence, and the prayers whispered in a quiet, sleepless night. This story isn't over. Maybe it never will be. Hello, drama lovers. What do you think? Is there a deeper story between them that we've never truly seen? Is this silent affection finally revealing itself? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'll continue to follow their journey. Because sometimes, in the quietest places, the most beautiful stories begin. See you in the next story. Only here, on this channel.